So it's the month of illogical inconsistencies as we head straight to Survivor Series. Okay, yeah, when you center around two brands going to war with one another and there is very little interaction between them because they're on separate shows, it's tough to do a build-up to this. So let's get to the one match that actually doesn't have that virtually has no purpose. Enzo Amore versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight Championship. Yep, the Cruiserweights are so... In fact, here's the thing. When I had heard when Pete Dunne made his debut on Raw, unfortunately, the reason why I say unfortunately is because it's Raw, they'll screw it up. And then it was revealed that 205 Live has invited the UK division to come onto their show. I was thinking to myself, you know what? Okay, this might be the one time they get 205 Live. They can add intrigue. Imagine it. A 5-on-5 Survivor Series 205 Live versus UK division matchup. That might be the closest we ever get to NXT versus WWE or Triple H versus Vince McMahon nowadays. And they screwed it up. There's no matchup, there's no purpose, it's just Enzo Amore versus Kalisto. They don't even think, hey, let's do that kind of idea. That can actually be interesting. Add in the UK wrestling style, or the US strong, or the British strong style, or the Cruiserweight style. Let's see how those mesh together. No, we're not doing it because that's too much of a good idea. We already have enough resources going into the War Games, even though Vince doesn't acknowledge their existence. For various reasons, because he's a petty bastard. So, Enzo Amore and Kalisto, after Enzo won it, I was like, there was only one reason why Kalisto won it, is because they realized, oh god, we lost Neville. Oh god, we don't have any other challengers left if Enzo doesn't drop the belt. So, they had no choice. So now Enzo's going to keep the belt. So, I don't see Kalisto winning. Like, I shouldn't realistically see Sin Cara beating the hell out of Baron Corbin. I'll get to that in a moment. So, yeah, Enzo Amore and Kalisto. I have not watched 205 Live, and the time of this video is Kalisto's birthday. And you want to know what the most surprising thing is? They did not dedicate the final Raw to Survivor Series to Eddie Guerrero's Day of Death. May he rest in peace. Like, they dedicate Eddie Guerrero's birthday. Wait, no, yeah, Eddie Guerrero's birthday, or was it Rey Mysterio? Well, he dedicated to both of them. But, yeah, they don't bring up Eddie Guerrero, like, at all during the show. Like, I would suspect they would bring up Eddie Guerrero during the show. They never did. That honestly surprised me. So, yeah, Enzo Amore is going to retain. Also, there's been a huge update on Neville. He might be coming back. Yep. He might be coming back. Apparently, negotiations between them are becoming positive. Neville's trying to probably get outside bookings, but contracts with WWE is holding him up. And really, I'm not surprised by that. But it looks like Neville might return at the end of November. Heck, he might show up at Survivor Series. And honestly, I was like, man, I don't know how to feel about this. I like Neville, but would they really give him the respect he has earned in his time of wrestling? Like, look at NXT, then look at him in WWE. They're like two different universes. Plus, Adrian Neville was NXT and Neville is WWE, because long names are confusing. I don't know. So, yeah, Enzo looks like he might feud with Neville this time, and hopefully Neville gets the victory. Though I do hope that if they do convince Neville to stay, they should give him the opportunity to go one-on-one with The Miz, or move him to SmackDown to fight Baron Corbin, or just give him a world title opportunity, because he's clearly earned it. But, as we know, he's too small, therefore he's not realistic enough to fight Brock Lesnar. Even though there have been smaller guys that have beaten Brock Lesnar before. I won't mention the one name that comes to mind, so I'll mention Eddie Guerrero. And just leave it at that. So, Enzo's going to retain. Neville might show up, but Neville might show up at the end of the month if he decides to come back. So we'll have to see what happens. Now let's get to the main card, since Enzo Amore and Kalisto was announced at the last minute of Raw to be a kickoff show. Intercontinental Champion The Miz versus United States Champion Baron Corbin. Yeah, they've traded shots at one another on social media and 2 promos on TV. So like Miz is a savage on social media, so he'd beat Baron Corbin by a major amount. And you know what? I'm thinking, why did The Miz reference his hatred to SmackDown? Like, out of everyone on the roster of Raw and SmackDown who switched sides, The Miz is the only definable character that has some form of logic to go one-on-one with SmackDown. Like, it's been established that Miz was just there because they lost the U.S. Championship because Rusev went to Raw. So, why don't they just do that? Like, they could have acknowledged the whole hostile relation he has with Daniel Bryan, how he feels like the company, how SmackDown was against him, and how he's now a major star here on Raw. Like, that would really make sense, but they don't do that. They just go ahead and trash talk each other. Not saying Miz is awesome on the mic. He is. He burned Baron Corbin on Raw. Oh, man. So, yeah, honestly, like I said, there is virtually no tension at all for any of these matches, except for the men's traditional 5-on-5 match. But the rest, they don't have actual tension or long-term impact. Probably. So, yeah, it doesn't matter who wins. It's just going to be hopefully a fun match. And yeah, I like to go in to say that I, like everyone else, thought that this show was going to be the worst Survivor Series in a long time and a complete disaster. Strictly because of how the show was originally being built up as. Yeah. So, okay, let's move on. The Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss was originally scheduled to face Charlotte Flair. Originally, like I said, Natalya was supposed to fight Alexa Bliss in Who's the Better Champion of the women's division. And then Charlotte came up with a victory on the final SmackDown. And now there is virtually no build-up. In fact, I don't even know if they ever talked to each other. Talked about one another in promos. I think twice, but mostly from Alexa Bliss. And also Natalya did most of the work, and now Charlotte's SmackDown Women's Champion because, I don't know, Natalya is not a good wrestler, I think they said. Yeah. And SmackDown Women's Champion, there was a lot of changes to the show. Originally, we were going to have a horrible show just from one match. And then when that happened, full steam ahead. So, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, like I said, I don't know who's going to win that match. And quite frankly, I have no tension whatsoever. I just hope for a good match. And then we get the return of the Shield officially versus The New Day in a 6-man tag team match. Aw, why couldn't they do an elimination no DQ match? Oh wait, that would actually have been a good match. So yeah, The New Day is gonna fight the Shield, and Roman Reigns was out sick because of a viral infection. It was probably the mumps or laryngitis. They never talked about it. And okay, Stephanie McMahon asked Reigns where he's been. Oh yeah, she came back, unfortunately. She asked Reigns where he's been, and all I'm thinking is, you acknowledged that there was a viral infection, and the company acknowledged that Reigns was out sick. Why are you saying you don't know now? See, remember how I said this month has been no nonsense logic? Like, there's no logic whatsoever. It's just confusing because they're throwing in all these great non-title matches and Survivor Series matches. Like, okay. I know 2005 Raw had no logic whatsoever because a lot of the wrestlers, some wrestlers didn't like each other, some wrestlers didn't like each other on the other shows. But yeah, there was still animosity within the groups. I think. I don't remember. But yeah, that was the second most illogical one. 2016 Survivor Series, while there was brand loyalty going on and logic was thrown out the window, okay, at least they weaved in the storylines that were going on with Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, Orton Wyatt, and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman was just there because they needed a powerhouse. Yeah. And Shane McMahon, he was just there because, yeah, I don't know why he was there. To replace Baron Corbin, but anyways. So, yeah, The Shield returned to the show where they made their debut. Not their in-ring debut. That was sadly last month, and we never got to see that because of sickness. But this is the show where they made their debut, attacking Ryback and John Cena. And there were reports saying that the debut was supposed to be much stupider than you thought. Originally, apparently the plan was for them to wear security, like, to take the security vests was, no, they wanted them to show up in riot gear, holding shields, taking that name a little too seriously, charge through the ring, but that didn't make any sense because they would have to go through the crowd and by then it would be too late and Ryback would have won. And even they've acknowledged, yeah, that was kind of a stupid idea. So, yeah, Vince was trying to turn the Shield into shit right from the get-go, clearly. Luckily, Triple H talked him out of it, and even CM Punk probably thought that was the dumbest idea Vince ever came up with, besides losing to Triple H on the Night of Champions during his big momentum he had in 2011, but that's a different story. Or the momentous amounts of, oh, I'll owe you a solid, and never owning up. Oh, and also firing him on his wedding day. That I've already covered this. So, the Shield and the New Day, yeah, it's going to be the Shield. Like, what's the New Day? Do you really think the New Day is going to win against the Shield? It'd be amazing if the New Day won. But the Shield, guaranteed to win. It'd be amazing if they didn't do that. Because the Shield just came back. You really think the New Day is just going to lose to them? I mean, beat them? Also, there's one thing that happened on SmackDown that honestly really should have been addressed. They gave away what's going to happen to the Shield heading into WrestleMania. Like, the reports gave it away, but they just acknowledged it on TV. They said the Shield would break up before WrestleMania season, before WrestleMania is in full swing, like probably after the Royal Rumble. And we know that was going to happen because reports came out that the plan is for Dean Ambrose to turn heel because we in no way can do Roman Reigns turn to the dark side because kids will cry or something. So, yeah, the New Day just spoiled that for anyone who didn't know. So, yeah, that sucks. And the only build-up the New Day and the Shield had was, well, the New Day cost Seth Rollins and Ambrose the tag team titles. Which brings me to the next case. Sheamus and Cesaro, The Bar, versus the Usos. Originally, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus the Usos. And changing plans at the last minute, essentially, doesn't really help their case. They only had 1 week to build up the match. That's it. Yeah, I'll get to the main event match most likely, but that was the one match that needed to be changed. I did not care who was in what championship role besides the non-title match, besides the main event match. But yeah, when you already built up for 3 weeks and then realize, oh god, this show's sucking. Switch plans. Like, originally, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were supposed to fight the New Day. That was always the plan. And then they were going to have Roman Reigns be the team captain of Raw for the men's team, which I'll get into. So, yeah. So, Cesaro and Sheamus and the Usos. The Usos just destroyed them on the mic, and Cesaro was speaking with his mouth protection gear. Yeah, no. Just don't. Vince, I know you hate Cesaro because he calls himself a wrestler, but come on. Even you shouldn't be putting him through this kind of torture. Just make him a silent killer. But that would require too much effort. Let Sheamus do the talking. Cesaro just looks intimidating while his mouth recovers. But like I said, that would require Vince putting aside his bruised ego because he finds Cesaro boring. Yeah, I still think he thinks that because Cesaro should really be world champion by now. So, yeah. And ironically, I remember this when the Usos brought it up. They went ahead and acknowledged that they both were the final 2 teams in the Tag Team Survivor Series matchup, which I was like, oh god, they're actually acknowledging that? They really acknowledged that what happened last year? You mean to tell me that's actual logic? Oh god, you mean to tell me that's something that is not The Shield or John Cena? And probably that's it. Or Brock Lesnar. They'll acknowledge something that happened in the past? Oh! Shocking. So enough about that. Also, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, they almost injured one of the Usos. Accident, but yeah, it looked like one of the Usos were almost injured, and now Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin look like they're crossing over to the dark side. And then we get the women's traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series matchup. Alicia Fox's team captain. Oh god, and I knew she would take that literally. It's Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Asuka versus Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Tamina, and originally Charlotte, but now it's going to be announced who it is at the show. Oh, and Lana's just there for emotional support. Also, Daniel Bryan's trademark "I don't give a damn anymore" mentality comes in when he announces that all these women were going to fight. When Lana asks, "But there's 6 of us. Will I be part of the match?" And Bryan says, "Oh, yeah, you're not in it." And Lana just had her day ruined. Daniel Bryan, everyone, the king of not giving 2 shits. And wait till when I go into the main event. So, yeah, and everyone's wondering, hey, who is this other woman? Like, it's not Emma. She got released because WWE is a bunch of idiots. It's Paige. Yeah, it's Paige. It has to be Paige. Natalia would have been announced right then and there. They would have switched positions with Charlotte, but no, it's going to be Paige. And it was reported that when Paige would come back, she would join SmackDown, so this looks like the perfect shot. Originally, it looked like she was going to join Raw, but yeah, she never showed up. Also, the inclusion of Asuka seemed... What? Like, wouldn't... But, so, that guarantees Raw is going to win for the women's division because it's Asuka. Like, would they really sacrifice the streak for that in a Survivor Series match? Or would they do the same thing they did with Rusev when they wanted to keep his pinfall and submission undefeated streak going? So they had to come up with a count out. Yeah, yeah, I don't see how that's going to work out. So, yeah, anyways. Asuka looks like I think the original plan probably was going to be Emma, but then WWE realized, oh god, she's actually a talented performer and people are cheering for her. Quick, get rid of her because we're petty, vindictive idiots. Or something like that. After we just gave her 2 highly competitive matchups with Asuka. Now that I think about it, we're kind of a bunch of idiots for that. So, also, Carmella, I'm pretty sure that she'll join Raw if she, like, the cash-in might go and attack Alexa Bliss and steal a Raw Women's Championship. That actually would be interesting if they did that. And Naomi and Tamina and Becky Lynch, they're just, okay. Bayley at least had somewhat of a story going on, how she was just being pushed to the side. Really should have laid the foreground for a heel turn. And Alicia Fox being the captain, okay, there were times it was cringeworthy, and there were times it was funny. Oh, and Nia Jax, you know, the woman that doesn't like Sasha, doesn't like Bayley, has been feuding with them for months and months and months. Nope, she's alright with them. And even then, it's like, she looked uncomfortable when Alicia Fox ordered a group hug, and I'm like, okay, Nia has got to be uncomfortable about all of this. Asuka, yeah, I don't see her being on a team at all. So, yeah. And it looks like Asuka's going to feud with Dana Brooke, if they do that. Kind of ironic, because her second major match is going to be with Dana Brooke, and originally that was her first major match. Emma was the next one, I believe. So, yeah, this women's Survivor Series matchup, like I said, no tension, and the only highlight probably would be Asuka and Paige returning, and Paige coming back. Now let's get to the one match that has some form of coherency. Team Raw, led by Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and a surprise return in the form of The Game versus Shane McMahon, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, and unfortunately John Cena. So, yeah, there's at least some logical coherency going on here, but not by much. Now, after Shane McMahon's hilarious Under Siege attack, Stephanie McMahon came back and basically does the sensible thing and emasculates all the roster. Because there's no way you can make Stephanie pay for it, unless it's an accident way. Also, I'd just like to say that, why can't the men just hit her just once? Like, they did a spear, but they acknowledged that's an accident. Triple H knocked into her. She collapsed on a table. But if a man... But, okay, here's the thing. Everyone talks about that this is a huge annoyance that Stephanie just emasculates all the men, and sometimes the women, because they cannot hit their boss, even though Stone Cold did it a lot, The Rock did it a lot, Triple H did it a lot, even he pedigreed Stephanie McMahon twice, I think. Chris Jericho insulted and degraded them and beat up Stephanie once. But, oh wait, that's the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era. Except for Randy Orton RKOing and then kissing Stephanie on the lips. That was 2009, but that was... Oh, that's just the off-season of Ruthless Aggression. We can't do that. We need to think about the women. They're fragile and whatnot. So, making Stephanie a self-centered, conniving, psychopathic bully who picks on those because she's protected by her femininity. You know, I think Anita Sarkeesian and her would get along really well in terms of characters. And Zoe Quinn. And every neo-feminist Nazi woman. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get sued up the ass by those offended, triggered SJWs. And Star Wars is being taken over by SJWs after what happened to Heroes of Mandalore. I'll talk about that in the future. So, yeah. She makes Kurt Angle the team captain. And I'm betting Kurt Angle's thinking, oh God, remember the days when I used to, hit you like angle slammed you, gave you the ankle lock. Like, I'm pretty sure Kurt Angle was thinking, like, can we just go back to those days where I was allowed to get away with striking you because you had to get your comeuppance? But now you can't because reasons. Mostly to protect the fragile mind of women. Even though I've read Twitter comments by women saying that even they want someone to hit her. At least on TV, not in real life. Unless they're still mad about the philanthropy is the future of marketing comment she made. Then you can make your arguments. I'm not condoning it, but okay. Especially with all the allegations going on in Hollywood. So then it's announced. Then Braun Strowman comes back from the dead, and I was wanting to talk about this. I was like, no, just no. Okay. Let's see. That guy his size being thrown into a trash compactor and being squashed. Yeah, he should be dead. And WWE continues the tradition of no longer giving it two shits, where they decide to think that we are so stupid that we can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago. Like, let's see. They go ahead and move Braun Strowman from a white dumpster truck into a red one. And then he emerges unscathed, no injuries, no scent of garbage, and just tries to kill The Miz in the Miz Taraj. Oh, speaking of which, when I saw this, I was like, okay, you've done it. You somehow made this worse. You made Braun Strowman decline a little bit. Why? Because one, Braun Strowman is not supernatural. I'll get to that in a moment. One, Braun Strowman is not immortal. Two, you turned him into Jason Voorhees. And every other horrible horror sequel that happened that involves the resurrection of a character like Michael Myers. In fact, I think they realized, oh god, we're doing this now. Like, Corey Graves and the commentary team, they acknowledged that all this was bullshit. They acknowledged it. They went on commentary and acknowledged that this is straight out of an 80s horror film. And they're right. Jason Voorhees now. He's Jason Voorhees now. He's Michael Myers now. That character that just can't die. In fact, now that I think about it, is that going to be his new gimmick? Think about it. Earlier this year, he gets nearly vehicular manslaughtered in a ambulance. But here's the thing. I could probably buy of a slim chance that maybe Braun Strowman could survive that. The dumpster thing? No, that's when you pushed it. What's next? Are they going to drop a nuke on him? Are they going to fire a gun at him? Then drop a nuke? Because if he survives that, then we should send him to our enemies. Because he would be the ultimate weapon. We wouldn't need nukes. We could just send Braun Strowman to beat our enemies. Specifically for a nation that has a temper tantrum child issue that doesn't know when to shut up for once in his life. Yeah, I'm not going to mention who his name is, but I think you might know who I'm talking about. So, yeah. And you want to know why I just have a hard time buying Braun Strowman surviving these death-defying stunts that guarantees all but death? It's because what's Braun Strowman? He's a big guy who's just a beast, like Brock Lesnar. Now, people would say, well, Undertaker and Kane went through some much more heinous acts. Except, here's the thing. Undertaker and Kane are portrayed as supernatural entities. They are portrayed as supernatural entities, so you can buy that they could survive such disasters. Kane is a supernatural entity. Undertaker is a supernatural entity. That's how their characters are. Braun Strowman isn't a supernatural entity. They tried and failed miserably with Bray Wyatt because, oh, the cult leader gimmick was too realistic and therefore scared children. Even though his first promo ever as Bray Wyatt was him implying that he murdered his dad by burning him alive on a boat. And that never made television. That was FCW. But we can't talk about that because that involves murdering, even though they do that a lot on TV now. In fact, here's another thing I had a problem with this. That they've done death angles like this, murder angles as I call them, because death angles is the exploitation of a real person's death for heat. And a murder angle is just, okay, let's try and murder the character for some messed up reason and then just bring it back after a few weeks acting like nothing's wrong. Okay, let's see. Undertaker and Kane. You could buy that they survived that because they're supernatural entities. Mick Foley. He just keeps coming back from every injury. That's at least one of his gimmicks, but he's not unstoppable. Let's see. Undertaker tried to drown Paul Bearer in cement, and they were originally going to kill him off until they realized, oh god, we got too much heat for that. Let's see. How many more murder angles were there? Oh, Randy Orton driving his car, smashing into the Undertaker through the SmackDown Arena stage. Okay. And this is the WWE. I could go to other companies, probably ECW, like the whole Tommy Dreamer's idea of getting shot. Yeah, look that up. He actually wanted that to happen. Okay, that might be a little too far in angles, but yeah. And I'm not saying like a fake gun and he just pretends to be fake. No, he wanted to legitimately get shot. I'll give the man this. He's dedicated. A little too much. And Braun Strowman gets murdered nearly twice. One by Roman Reigns. Everyone condemns that because, oh, it's Roman Reigns. Except Stone Cold's done it to Triple H. He's done it to The Rock. The NWO did it to The Rock. Shane McMahon's gimmick is a death-defying Daredevil. Yeah. Oh, and Vince McMahon also did it to DX once. And 3 of them were in 1999. So, yeah, they were alright with that, but when Paul Bearer happened, that was too far. But then they accepted that, and then when they did it to Muhammad Hassan, they just knew that that was going to happen after the controversy that happened, so they were alright with that. Not much, but a little bit. But when Roman Reigns did, oh, no, he's trying to, that's going too far. Why? Because it's Roman Reigns. He's supposed to suck and be a good guy. Okay? That's not a legitimate reason. Like, you say you want Roman Reigns to be darker, and now you're saying you don't want him to try murdering people? Like Stone Cold did? Like The Rock did? Yeah, I believe The Rock tried to murder somebody in storyline. Didn't Rikishi try to kill Stone Cold by running him over? And then they threw a convolution. Triple H paid Rikishi. Yeah, I know I'm drawing on this, but I just had to just talk about that. Talk about this. And then let's see. But when the Miz and his group cronies beat up Braun Strowman, that was perfectly all right. They just thought it was stupid that they did it, but they thought it was all right because they're heels and whatnot. It's not like a face did it. Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H at one point when he was a good guy. Didn't he break into somebody's home and in any realistic terms he should have been arrested? And the fact that there was on-air footage, but because Randy Orton didn't want to press charges because he's an idiot. Yeah, anyways. Moving on from that. Then we got Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. No reason. They're just fighting amongst themselves, and they go with it. Then Finn Balor and Samoa Joe actually team up, and they don't acknowledge the time in NXT where they were a tag team during the Dusty Rhodes Classic. And I can only imagine why. Let's see. It's NXT Vince and Dunn have been known to hate NXT. Vince just finds the superstars overrated. Dunn just hates them because they dare be friends with Triple H. Yeah, I can't imagine why they wouldn't acknowledge the NXT time when they were attacked. Oh, wait, I just realized that. Oh, yeah, because they're NXT, therefore that's a different world. We don't acknowledge their existence to an extent. We'll acknowledge championships, but we won't acknowledge, like, history and whatnot in terms of coherency. And then we got Triple H. Originally Jason Jordan, originally going to be Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was sick. They didn't know if he would come back in time. Then Jason Jordan was given the spot, and then it was a last-minute decision. A report came out today that it was literally a last-minute decision when they realized, oh god, no one likes him. We gotta do something. And then they had to say, well, who do we got? We don't have anyone else. Gee, I wonder why they don't have anyone else. Probably because you fed most of your guys to John Cena, to Brock Lesnar, and to an extent Triple H, but he's part-time now. And he wasn't around during the Nexus angle, so I won't go into that. So you can't make that argument. I mean, like, it's not like we have established veterans like the Cruiserweights. Hell, we could probably give The Undertaker a call if they wanted to. So, yeah, and I already know why Triple H is there. It's to set up Kurt Angle versus Triple H. Yeah. Now, have you noticed something about the Team Raw? Kurt Angle, Finn Balor, and maybe Braun Strowman, we don't know yet, are the only good guys on the team. Braun Strowman's in the middle, Samoa Joe and Triple H are bad guys. And, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't Samoa Joe have a history with Triple H in terms of alliances? Like, this year? Yeah. And I have to acknowledge it. Triple H teaming up with The Shield, even at a house show, is beyond fucking stupid. Samoa Joe teaming up with The Shield at a house show is also beyond fucking stupid. Why? Because, one, Triple H and Seth Rollins had a feud with one another that lasted for 2 years. Samoa Joe nearly broke Seth Rollins' leg and nearly made him miss WrestleMania again. I know it's a house show and they don't acknowledge it as canon unless they do a major storyline development like, say, a title change, but that would have been alright if they didn't acknowledge it on their social website, on Twitter. They acknowledged it. They admitted that, yeah, we did it. So clearly it's technically canon, if you count it, in the WWE story. So they just sacrificed everything. They made the whole storyline no sense. And in fact, why doesn't Roman Reigns acknowledge this? The only one they've acknowledged is Kurt Angle. Like, I was expecting Roman Reigns to, like, look at Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose like they were crazy for daring to team up with the guy who destroyed the Shield, can manipulate Seth Rollins into destroying the Shield, and the guy that works for Triple H. Like, they could probably do that if they ever had the gall to turn him heel, but, you know, Vince is just stubborn about it. And Braun Strowman, yeah, Kane's going to get involved. He's clearly going to get involved in this match. So, Braun Strowman's going to be eliminated. Finn Balor, they sacrificed all momentum to Kane. Samoa Joe just got back. Triple H and Kurt Angle have a storyline to do soon, especially with Jason Jordan. Let's see how SmackDown's doing. Shane McMahon wants to take out Kurt Angle. Randy Orton has nothing to do, especially after Rusev just stopped showing up. Bobby Roode finished his feud with Dolph Ziggler. Shinsuke Nakamura has nothing to do. And John Cena should not even be on the team. Why? And they've acknowledged this. John Cena is a free agent. Stephanie McMahon acknowledged that he's a free agent. And he was just on Raw. Okay, acknowledging the problems with your story doesn't fix it. Unless you take him out somehow They don't fix it. And look at what happened on the final SmackDown. They all beat Shane and Team SmackDown up. And John Cena's not playing hero again. Yeah, have you noticed that John Cena... Like, I can buy if Randy Orton did that, but this is John Cena. He's supposed to play hero. At least that's what he says, but he never does. Not anymore, at least. In fact, I started noticing it when he, you know... He has a feud with Brock Lesnar going on, and he doesn't come to rescue Chris Jericho from his clutches. Yeah, why is he on Team SmackDown again? Like, you can probably make the argument that, oh, well, he started off on SmackDown. They gave him his break. That is somewhat true, but... Yeah, they don't acknowledge that either. They acknowledge the free agent status, but they don't acknowledge his past work. So, yeah, no, you can't even make that argument. So let's get to the main event. Oh, also, all Team SmackDown are faces, so, yeah, considering Finn Balor and Samoa Joe hate each other, yeah, they're gonna explode. Braun Strowman's gonna get taken out by Kane. Triple H and Kurt Angle, they're probably gonna destroy one another sometime in the match. So, also, interestingly, this will be the first official time Shane and Triple H actually interact with one another. They haven't interacted since Shane came back because of power struggle issues. Also, I really hope we see Bobby Roode Triple H fight. Yeah. Why? Because it's Triple H and Bobby Roode. People just call them duplicates. But think about it. They wrestle a very slower-paced style. Bobby Roode looked like Triple H a bit back in TNA, and he even shaved his hair to somewhat similarly to Triple H. And Bobby Roode was the longest NXT champion at one point. And Triple H is a 14-time world champion, and at one point was one of the longest reigning world heavyweight champions until they decided to give it up and move it to somewhere else. Yeah. Also, the only other guys that have any form of logic going on is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They have no loyalties. They only work for themselves. And, yeah, here's the thing. The commentary team acknowledged that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn has said this. They don't care about the points for SmackDown. They only care about their careers. And I'm thinking, like, what? They actually care? Or thinking with their heads? A pot's on you! Yeah, like, they treat it like caring more about your career than just people having egos and fighting amongst themselves is a bad thing. Why? I'm just... They think with logic, they're condemned for it. Yeah, that's clearly... In fact, that mirrors society so well. Like that incident with the whole, oh, I'm going to feed the homeless. You can't feed the homeless. It's illegal because we're dicks. That actually happened to a 90-year-old man. Alpha Magazine talked about it. Yeah. So anyways, now let's get officially to the main event of the evening. Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus WWE Champion, the modern day Maharaja. No, it's AJ Styles. Hooray! So, originally this was going to be Jinder Mahal with the Singh Brothers versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. Oh god, that match was going to suck. That was guaranteed to suck big time. Not because the storyline makes no sense, not because Jinder Mahal has no reason to do so, not because Jinder Mahal is not even able to deliver a good matchup. He could, unless it's AJ Styles, and even then it was okay. But, yeah, you want to know what the only perk Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal would have been? It would have been the Singh Brothers being thrown across the ring. That would have been the only perk. And it's not even related to Jinder Mahal physically. It's just something that associates with him. Luckily, they realized, oh god, this match is gonna suck, and we're running low on and we don't have a sold out arena. Hey, who do we have that can fight Brock Lesnar? Well, we have Bobby Roode. No, he's NXT. We can't do that. Also, he's from TNA to an extent. We have Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler? Next thing you'd be telling me you want John Cena to win the break Ric Flair's record. Unless he has creative control, and then he could do it. We could do Shinsuke Nakamura. We're already pushing it with Asuka. We don't want more foreign guys being good guys. Let's see. Who could be more? We could probably bring back Daniel Bryan. No. I'm like, he's granted, he's saying he's 85% sure he's going to get cleared. I'll get to that in a moment. But no, we're not killing him. I know we have an injury fetish issue that needs to be addressed eventually, but we're not going to be responsible for murder after what happened last time. Twice. So, yeah, they only had 1 week to build this. And Paul Heyman and AJ Styles and Bryan, yeah, Bryan got involved in this. Also, I forgot to mention, Kane chokeslamming Bryan. I wouldn't be surprised if Bryan took a bump, just for the hell of it, even if they turned off the lights to make it look like he didn't. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar does nothing. Paul Heyman does the build-up. Then AJ Styles talks, and Daniel Bryan pretends to be AJ Styles' advocate. And that was possibly the biggest highlight of the show, of SmackDown, and the biggest highlight throughout this 1 week build. Why? Because it looks like Bryan, in his I don't give a shit state, decides to pull the ultimate I don't give a shit anymore by deciding to say everything he wanted to say to Lesnar if they had had a match. He mentions UFC, he mentions how Brock Lesnar doesn't do anything, he mentions how his UFC, how he quit WWE last time and went to UFC just to fight less and lost to a smaller guy. Oh god. Everything that Bryan was saying, although there is a degree of truth, it felt like he was doing the matchup. It felt like he wanted this matchup to happen between him and Lesnar, and he was wanting to use all the material he was given had the feud happened. Luckily it didn't for a variety of reasons, but it just felt like Bryan was just saying, okay, I finally have an opportunity to say everything I always wanted to say for my match against Brock Lesnar if it happened. So I'm going to just say whatever the hell I want. Company be damned. Storyliners be damned. Creative writers be damned. I'm going to go talk a smack on Lesnar. Yeah, then AJ Styles acknowledges, yeah, I actually talk, unlike Lesnar. You may have the greatest advocate in Paul Heyman, Lesnar, but there is no way you can come back from that. You have been verbally destroyed by Bryan and Styles by acknowledging the many faults you have. Your desire not to work full time. Your desire to go somewhere else just for more money, just for having lesser dates. Your desire to not do anything when you're building up a match, unless you know, involves multiple people, then you can protect yourself for some reason. And the staleness of Paul Heyman mocking the fans because they dare have a winning proposal. Okay, yeah, that was funny, but still. Yeah. If it was John Cena, he would have just congratulated them because it's John Cena. Plus, he needs to be a good guy. Paul Heyman, he just says, ha ha ha, you wanted to propose to your girlfriend. You're an idiot. And I'm like, oh, I get Paul Heyman's a heel, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Vince got pissed off at that, even though he went unscripted. So, yeah. So, AJ Styles and Lesnar, this hopefully will be a long match. It's not guaranteed because it's Lesnar, and you know, long matches hurt him for some reason. And if it is a long match, it needs to be a multi-man match, then he can leave for half of the match. And let the others do all the work for him. Yeah, that seems to be his new style. Remember when he was actually working long matches with Triple H, with John Cena? and now they don't do that anymore. And with CM Punk, and they don't do that anymore because, or the Undertaker. If it's the Undertaker, that's a different story. Yeah, it's only happened to those 4 guys. Everything else has just been short. And also Roman Reigns. Originally they were going to go for 35 minutes, but then they realized time constraints happened, so they had to change everything. And then, yeah, after that, just those 5 guys, and that's it. They don't build him up for anything else in a singles matchup regarding making a long match. I get that they're trying to protect him from getting hurt before WrestleMania, but I'm pretty sure he can recover with the amount of time he's off. So, hopefully, they are allowed to go longer, and I seriously hope Bryan is at ringside with Paul Heyman, because that would be just perfect. Like, just get Bryan to be by AJ Styles' side. Like, it felt like Bryan was living vicariously through AJ Styles just to get this match with Lesnar. So, yeah. Also, there's an intrigue regarding Shane and Bryan. Are they going to do something soon or not? Is Bryan trying to get back into the ring? Is he going to quit? It looks like they're going to talk about coherency after Survivor Series. We don't know. He might also factor into the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown match. Also, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Bray Wyatt, those 3 guys, they're not on the show. And Bray Wyatt just comes back with no hype to him. They just say, oh, hey, Bray Wyatt, that's it. And then he loses to Jason Jordan. Oh, and Jason Jordan, I'm just going to say, yeah, your acting sucks. You're a talented performer, but you need to improve. And making him crying and begging isn't going to work. Like, at least they, at one point, played to Reigns' weaknesses with the mic, and then when he left the Shield, he still wasn't ready, but he could have been much worse had he been talking a lot during the Shield run, during the first Shield run. They gave him a couple of lines, and that's it. And whenever he did talk a little bit longer, it actually was more calmer, and was actually him being a heel, so yeah. Survivor Series, I don't know if they can defeat NXT War Games. I'll be covering that when that comes around, and it's going to be awesome. The War Games match, I read the rules. Yeah. Okay, let's hope they make it work. But these are all talented performers, so I hope they make it work. And I might talk about an NXT War Games match in this week. So, yeah, Survivor Series, I don't know if it can beat NXT TakeOver War Games. They never could beat NXT. They never could deliver a better show than NXT. Not even WrestleMania was able to do that. And they had the best talented performers, and they had a longer show. An overly bloated show. So, yeah, let's see what happens. There's no tension. There's just some dream matches. Probably some intrigue with Neville. Probably intrigue with the return of Paige. And that's it. And Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles, I just hope it delivers. And the only one that has some form of coherency of storytelling is the men's traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. So, yep, that's all I have to say. This was my thoughts on the Survivor Series 2017 build-up. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to see for more.